Let's talk about 5 things I want you to note or know about a marriage in community of property. Now, marriage in community of property in South Africa is the default marriage. So this means what? This means that if you get married without signing prior to the marriage a contract that we referred to as the antenuptial contract, your marriage is going to be in community of property because that's the default marriage. However, if you want it out of community of property, you've got to sign this particular contract. So, what does a marriage in community of property actually entail? Now, a marriage in community of property actually means that there's 2 parties here that are coming together to get married. And in this particular marriage, they're going to share everything. What are they sharing? When I say everything, they share everything starting from the things that they've built all of their lives. If they've built investments, if they've built properties, all of these, as soon as they get married, are going to be combined into this one particular joint estate, and both of them are going to have equal shares and equal control of this joint estate. So, what are these 5 things that I think you should know about marriage and community of property? Hold on a second. Let me introduce myself to those that don't know me or are new to our channel. My name is Yolanda Mnyengeza and I'm an attorney and a director at Mnyengeza Attorneys. So, what are we talking about today? As I've said before, we're talking about 5 things that I want you to know about marriage in community of property. Let's go to the first thing. Number 1, because you're married in community of property, if one of the spouses is declared insolvent, rest assured that the other spouse will also be declared insolvent. Now, why is this the case? Remember, what we said is that as soon as you get married in South Africa, particularly when you enter into a marriage in community of property, both of your estates are joined into one and you have equal control. The debts are shared as well. It's not only the assets. So what this means is that if one of the spouses had this huge debt and the creditors tried to recover some of the money from him or her, however, that amount of money was not sufficient, they would automatically go to the second spouse to try and recover, the money that is owed. And if both spouses, in terms of their joint estate, cannot cover this debt and they are here, they can actually be declared insolvent because they are one. So the other spouse's debt is also that of the other spouse. So you share everything. The second thing that you should know about this particular marriage is this. If you get a donation as one spouse from anybody that is a third party, that donation will form part of this joint estate. Meaning what? Which means if someone donates a property to you, let's say an immovable property, you are not going to be the only person that owns this property or that has control of this property. But because of the fact that you're married in community of property, your spouse is also going to be an equal owner of this property. Now, a lot of people are not necessarily happy or thrilled when they hear about this particular fact. I mean, who would be? Someone donating a property to you, now it forms part of the joint estate. It's not really fair, but that's what the law says. So is there a way that you can salvage this particular situation? Is there a way that you can actually be the sole and exclusive owner of this property? There is a way. Now, the way starts with the person that is actually donating the property to you. That property or that person that's actually donating that property to you needs to make it clear in the deed of donation that whatever it is that they're donating to you should not form part of your marriage or the marital regime. In that way, that property then will not form part of the joint estate and you will be the sole owner and you will have control of that particular property. And even if the marriage comes to an end, that property will never be considered as that of the joint estate. What is the third thing that I want you to know about a marriage in community of property? This one is kind of nice. Now, if you're married in community of property with someone who is quite wealthy or has financial stability or financial health, automatically, because you're married with them in community of property, you are also a wealthy person. you are also financially healthy. So what does this mean? So this means whatever it is that they have also belongs to you, because remember we said in this marriage, everything is joined. So even if I brought 10% and you brought 90%, I still become the 50% owner of whatever it is that we have together. So that's one of the perks about marriage in community of property. Let's talk about the fourth thing that I want you to know. Now, the fourth thing is this. A lot of people tend to get confused with this one. Now, as much as when you get into a marriage and community of property, everything that you acquire or you've ever acquired forms part of this marriage, there's a certain thing that doesn't actually form part of the joint estate. And what is that? If you get what we refer to as non-patrimonial damages. So what are non-patrimonial damages? Okay, so non-patrimonial damages is any settlement of damages that you've gotten for pain and suffering, for emotional, disturbance because of something occurring. If you're settled for those kinds of damages, that amount of money that you receive in settlement does not form part of the joint estate. Meaning that it's actually your own money. You have full control of it. It does not form part of this joint estate, irrespective, because it's a settlement for non-patrimonial damages. So what is the fifth thing that I think you should know about marriage and community of property? Now, when you get married in community of property, you no longer have the freedom to just enter into contracts and transactions as you would like. Because as soon as you enter into a marriage in community of property, you are not only the owner of the property that you have, but you are a joint owner along with your other spouse. Which means what? Which means that if you want to burden this joint estate, the other spouse will have to consent. If not by verbal consent, they're going to have to write something down to give you that consent. And rest assured that if they don't agree, rest assured, if they have an objection, that transaction you're trying to enter into, it will not work. It will not get anywhere because your capacity has been limited by the marriage that you are in. So a lot of people are often not comfortable with this one, but that's what comes with a marriage in community of property. There's a bonus thing, and the sixth thing that I want you to know before we actually end this video. What is that? Don't forget, the inheritance that you get from any third party also forms part of the joint estate if you're married in community of property. Oh, this is something that a lot of people often also are not comfortable with. Is there a way that I can run away from this as someone who's part of a joint estate, as someone who's married in community of property? Because I only want to be the sole owner of what I've inherited. Yes, of course, there is a way. As with donations, here in the instance of inheritance, the person who is actually leaving something to you, which is the testator, must make it a point that they draft a will. And in that will, they must make it a point that they make it clear that they don't want whatever it is that you're inheriting to form part of your marriage or to form part of the joint estate. In that way, whatever it is that you acquire from that inheritance will not form part of the joint estate. So that is the only way. If they don't do this, and you inherit something by virtue of interstate succession, unfortunately, whatever it is that you're going to inherit, because you're married in community of property, is going to be a property that falls within the joint estate. So that's what a marriage in community of property entails. Well, I hope you enjoyed this conversation and it taught you a thing or two. Don't forget, if there's anybody that you know that you think should have this information at their disposal, share this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us so that you never miss out on our videos. Again, my name is Yolanda Mnyangeza and I'm an attorney and a director at Mnyangeza Attorneys. And I hope to see you next time when we talk about something you should probably be aware of or that you should know within the legal sector. We'll see you next time.